Carolina pastor John Paul Miller spoke about the death of his wife, who died by suicide in April, in a new interview. Mica Miller's husband, South Carolina pastor John Paul Miller, is speaking out about her death. John Paul addressed his wife's death by suicide and speculation over the pair's relationship leading up to the incident in a new interview on Banfield Tonight with News Nation on Saturday, July 20th. Speaking about his initial reaction to his wife's death at age 30 on April 27th, John Paul said, "I didn't think it was real. I thought her family had made it up and had somebody call me and say that." Recalling the day of Mica's death specifically, John Paul said he was in Charleston with about 100 people from my kids' school at a soccer tournament. The pastor added that he had also sent his wife for emails that day. John Paul claimed that Mica was previously on medication for her mental health and he had warned her family so many times she would end her life after failing to give her medication. You know, like you tell somebody something and you tell them. Then, when it happens, you don't want to say, "I told you so," because it's a horrible thing. That's what I felt like, he continued. I told her family, there's so many times you can't imagine. I told her friends this. I told everybody, I said, if y'all don't get her lithium, she's going to commit suicide. According to the pastor, Mica had been living with a former registered nurse, and her family was taking care of her. John Paul said that he and Mica didn't talk that entire week before her death, though he said he sent her emails several times, telling her he loved her. The last time I saw her was a few weeks before she passed away, John Paul recalled. We spent about 4 hours together. She was in and out of psychotic conversations. She desperately wanted to come home. She was so afraid her family would disown her. He added that Mica had lost 40 pounds in a month prior to her death. John Paul said of his wife, "When she was under medicine, we had the greatest marriage you could ever imagine." He also denied tracking his late wife, slashing her tires and posting a topless photo of her, after appearing to apologize for doing so in a letter to her. At one point during the interview, John Paul broke down in tears as he said, "Just being able to talk about everything. It feels like people don't care to hear the truth." Mica's body was found at Lumber River State Park, according to the Robeson County Sheriff's Office, RCSO. At the time of her death, she and John Paul were in the process of divorcing, ABC 30 previously reported. The RCSO at the time also confirmed the pair were separated and estranged in a statement, as they pushed back on conspiracy theories surrounding Mica's death. Weeks prior to her death, Mica posted a video on Facebook on the topic of abuse, giving advice to those in an abusive relationship. If you or someone you know is considering suicide, please contact the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. Text STRENGTH to the crisis text line at 741,741 or go to 988lifeline.org.